Make sure it's actually streaming. It takes a minute for the stream to catch up.
Hey, Mom.
Hi, RJ. How are you?
Hey, RJ, look.
Hi.
Black Friday.
Black Friday. Do you know what that is?
No.
Black Friday is the day when everyone starts shopping for Christmas. And it's the best day of the year to get things on sale.
Did you write our Paw Patrol names off?
Yes, I took your Paw Patrol names off, but we can put them back on after I do my stream. Okay? Do you mind? I'm sorry.
She has a picture, so I'll write them right back on.
Okay. I did have a picture. It was very, very super cool what my kids did as well. Hi, this is Coach MK Fleming of Another Mother Runners Train Like a Mother Club until December 31st anyway. That's www.trainlikeamother.club. I'm going to lift this camera up just a little bit, and then we're going to get started on my stream where I wanted to tell all of you frugal shoppers what it is that I'm looking at and what I am considering
What are you doing?
this Black Friday. What am I doing? That is a good question. Sometimes I'm sure.
I am a spooky.
Are you really?
Yes.
Just standing this up a little bit. You guys have been playing with this. All right, leave it alone, RJ. That's crooked, whatever. Okay, we'll deal. So, yay! It's Black Friday, and the questions I've been getting in the Facebook groups revolve around, Coach, what are you excited about, and where do you start, and what should I buy? Now, what you buy is really up to you. So I'm just going to tell you what's out there, because there's a lot, and it can be hard to filter through, especially if you're not really sure what you wanted. A lot of you guys came into this training program not knowing that you needed exactly what it is that I offer, and I might not have been able to convince you before you came in that I was what you needed, so that can throw everything off. Like, maybe I don't know what I need. Maybe I never did. Oh my gosh, so I tend to divide shopping on a day like today when there's a lot out there and all of it's designed to get you into 3 categories. Now, again, this is just specifically, it's not specifically running, it's mostly running, mostly mobility, mostly athletic stuff, just because that's who I am and what I do, right? I don't have, running is my only hobby, making sure I can do it forever is my only real interest. So the only things outside of what I'm going to be talking about here today are recommendations I've asked from other streamers. Like, hey, I've had to do some Skype calls recently and realized that I need to upgrade my earphones from 2006. What would you recommend? So outside of that, things where I really don't know where I'm talking about, we're going to stick to what I do know well and what I do know to talk about. So so I've got 3 categories where I think about purchases. Upgrades, essentials, and cool shit. The reason having a framework to think this through really matters is because for a lot of these companies that I'm going to name, they do one sale a year, and it is for 12 hours on Black Friday or 12 hours on Cyber Monday. So I'm going to be looking up some of them as we go, but the vast majority, that just is how it is. They're smaller companies, they've not been around that long. Like, I get it, you can't haggle with the Target, for example, on prices because they keep prices as low as they can for a mass market retailer across the country. A lot of the businesses that we're going to be talking about are startups. They're still in, maybe they're in their seed funding phase, but they're still pretty small, meaning you need to think about it, either I want that, it's useful, or it isn't. Don't sit around and wait for a coupon because another one will not be coming. I'm still bitter about the loss of LumoRun. LumoRun was one of the best supplementary running products on the market. It was the thing I was going to tell everyone to buy this year, and they went bankrupt in June because everyone kept waiting for a sale. Anything that starts from a Kickstarter, probably I get it. You want to be a frugal shopper, you want to be conscientious, but if you want something, I'm telling you, this is for a lot of these little companies, this is the best they can do because they got to grow. So, you know, let's think beyond the cheapity cheapest, because as we start to get into a world of I only want the cheapest thing possible, you're trading. There's a trade-off. You're going to be getting crap quality. Everything that I'm going to be talking about is good quality. Like this kid right here. Are you high quality? No. Thank you. Don't touch. Don't touch. Thank you. I have my my tripod standing on front of my Bosu balls. Probably not the brightest move ever, but I don't have other until I have rigs in this room. This is going to have to work. So, Category 1 upgrades. This is where you take something like me with my headset from 2006. It has worked just fine since 2006, and I don't use it that frequently, but I have more increasing numbers of international clients in my office hours. Increasing numbers of reasons to have conversations via Skype or FaceTime, and it's been a real pain trying to do that at my computer. Shiloh, I'm in it! No, ma'am. Sorry. We just sent a foam roller at the Bosu ball, so. How about this? Sorry. How about this, Shiloh? Here. No, that's not fair with me. You're right. I'm going to give you this, and you're going to give me that box. And we're not going to touch the box, okay? Whee!
That's what's fun.
Is that so much more fun? Okay.
Can I have some more?
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Trying again. Sorry for that. Yay for a 9-day weekend from school. So in the upgrades category, this is where I think about taking something existing like my headphones from 2006. You know, I don't need them to be great, but they suck at this point. One side no longer works. It would behoove me to replace them. It would behoove me to replace them today. So I go look for an upgrade to that. One of the first things that I like to upgrade there is, if you haven't seen, AfterShokz is having a buy one get one free deal right now for Trex Titanium or Trex Air. If you buy either of those, you get a set of Trex Air for free while supplies last. That starts today and goes through the 26th. So if you think you might want a pair of AfterShokz, go ahead and do it. What makes AfterShokz different and kind of cool. And I'm not paid or sponsored by any of the companies I'm going to talk about. This is just stuff I legitimately like. Remember, any of the sponsorships, that goes to another Mother Runner, not to me. And no one controls what I say on this stream. So if I'm saying it here, you can trust it. I like it. When it comes to AfterShokz, it's different. You can the earphones sit on top of your cheekbones, and sound is transmitted that way. So that means you can hear ambient sound while you're on your run, and it's really useful. Like I have my cleaning lady has a pair and walks through the house with them. It's way better than that. I mean, granted, they're not noise canceling, but they're not intended to be. It's intended to be a slightly safer way to jog if you must jog with music or an audiobook or a podcast like Another Mother Runners. Yay! Or the Train Like a Mother Club podcast, of course. Or if I got to plug my own too, the Morning Mantra with Coach MK. Kind of dig it, but you hopefully you listen to that first thing in the morning before the rest of the world has gotten into your ears. So AfterShokz would be an interesting upgrade if you're looking for a new set of headphones. When it comes to the totally wireless headphone technology, the ones that sit in your ears, the best ones going right now are Bose. And there are 2 places that have those on sale. So AfterShokz, I think the Trex Air runs $149, and then the Titanium runs $149, and the Air runs $80. For totally sit in your ear headphones, I would wait on that purchase. The best one on the market right now is made by Bose. They're still $250. I have a set that a friend gave me from a convention she went to. I'm like, I need to go fun, fancy places and get free stuff like that. But the issue there is, number 1, they're pretty heavy. And number 2, anything that sits so I think just wait a little bit longer when we've gotten further down. Remember, computers used to be the size of a warehouse, and now they can fit like the palm of your hand. When it comes to any technology like this that's super duper new, it's always going to start out a little bigger and then get smaller as products improve over time. So when it comes to those in-ear headphones, outside of the pods from Apple, which again, I don't love those fall out of my ear. But the next best thing on the market, if you can, is Are the Bose, guys, chill. Are the Bose in-ear earphones? And again, those are heavy, so I don't love them. If I was going to go with one thing right now, it would be the Trex Titanium. The next thing is when I think about like what might need to be upgraded, because again, things get lighter and better over time. I like knuckle lights, and the reason I love my new knuckle lights so much, I had a pair of knuckle lights previously. I love the rechargeable ones because they came with the little USB cable that I could keep in my car, and I would just think about it, even though I know this is probably dangerous and a terrible idea because my husband tells me all the time. I would plug it into my USB charger in my car and leave it overnight just to make sure everything was ready to go first thing in the morning, as well as my Petzl Now NAO. That is another thing I'm going to be looking to upgrade. Now my knuckle lights, when I went to go buy a new tray for them, they've completely revamped them and they look super cool. And you can plug them in directly. You don't need the base anymore, which is awesome. So I'm a big fan of knuckle lights, and I really like the rechargeable knuckle lights because that way I'm not, you know, it's less battery usage, and that's better for the environment. So says my my first grader daughter, who learns all about that from Miss Heidi. And we're trying to be more conscious. It's also really convenient because I don't have to remember to have batteries all the time or remember to replace batteries. I can just plug that dish in my car. The other thing that I just mentioned is the Petzl Now, but I'll show you mine upstairs in a few minutes and talk through what it is that I like in a headlamp. And spoiler alert, it's something similar. My vision is really, really bad. I have macular degeneration in one of my eyes, so that means like I have gray, my peripheral vision in one of my eyes is gray around the corners, so I need more light than your average human, and the options that I'm going to show you are more appropriate if you're training for something like the Leadville 100 or Ragnar, a trail Ragnar specifically, where you're going to be running through the night. If you do a lot of night running, you're probably going to like my headgear, because I like, for example, when I'm doing my longer runs, even in the summertime, and I need my headgear, I'm starting at like 4:30 in the morning.
Your mommy's up.
Thank you. So best case scenario, I'm only going to need it for an hour. But in my worst case scenario, it takes a while for the sun to rise in the winter. The sun might not be fully up till 7 and not full bright till 7:30. So I need that to last for 3 to 4 hours. So if you're a hardcore hiker, if you're a hardcore trail runner, if you're training for something longer than 50 miles and are going to be having to do a lot of nighttime running, visibility is going to matter to you, and you'll want to combine the knuckle lights with something, and I'll show you some of the options upstairs when we get there. And the third thing, when I'm thinking about upgrades, I know everyone wants to upgrade their watch, and I feel that, but I would beg you to stop and consider what it is you need to upgrade in that watch. I still have my Polar M400 from 2013. It's one of the best purchases I've ever made. I had no desire to upgrade it until I was pregnant and sitting in a Pilates class with no watch, and was really angry that I had forgotten my chest strap again. I had my chest strap and no watch. And after that happened a couple of times, I turned around and grabbed the M430. Now, I still don't like running with this. I truly don't. I like it for an everyday watch. I like it for anything indoor. I like it for any of I've done a couple spin classes with Ellie, and I liked this for that. But generally speaking, when I'm outdoors and I'm moving and I really need that continuous heart rate, and really accurate, reliable heart rate stuff, I don't really want to wear my 430 for that. I have a V800, and that was an impulse upgrade at a Black Friday sale that Polar had 2 years ago. I've been asked a lot about, yes? You can get on one, but don't roll around over here, okay? I've been asked a lot about Polar's new line, the Vantage, and what it does is effectively they're trying to replicate what Stride is doing. And I want you to remember, again, I've said this before, data for the sake of data is one thing. I've spent enough time in grad school, and hopefully you have too, like they beat it into my head. The question informs the answer every single time. Be very careful with the question that you ask, for one. And number two, data in and of itself is meaningless and frankly useless. You need, unless it's cleaned, collated, and has a purpose, right? So when I think about something like vertical oscillation, I don't really know how that's going to help you. I mean, I know what it means and I know how to track it, and I've had a lot of conversations with folks about it, but I'm like, all that vertical oscillation is going to tell me, it's going to give me an idea of how much mobility you have in your ankles and how quickly they fatigue over the course of a run. But I could probably guess that anyway based on other factors and based on, if I'm training you one-to-one, based on your training log. So I would argue, if you really want that brand new Garmin, and the one everyone's excited about is the 600 series, I say go for it. But just think, like, if you're doing it because of the data, I would stop and think, because the Stride actually, tying back to why I'm not real happy with Polar right now, what the Vantage series tries to do is use vertical and horizontal displacement as a proxy for power. And if you've used an Apple Watch for any period of time and know how frustrating their internal heart rate algorithm actually is, and you still need a chest strap to go with it and an app on your Apple Watch to make that really effective and workable. And so it just, heart rate, just because something claims to have real-time heart rate doesn't mean it's going to work well, because the technology is all different, the algorithms are all different. No, there is really no samesies anywhere you go. I would hate for you to take a metric like power, and think, oh, samesies, because it's not. Back to my question from grad school, the way that the data is collected, the question informs the answer, the data collection method informs the analysis methodology. Vertical and horizontal displacement is not, from your wrist, is not ever going to be as good as what we can get from the Stride FootPod if power is something you really want to use. I'm not saying you have to go buy it, but if you're hearing a lot of talk this year about power, because in my opinion, a lot of these guys have rushed to market with a faulty product because they know that Stride exists and demand is there. And that if you're looking at, do I buy a $250 Stride with the 20% off coupon they have on their website right now, which makes it like what, like $212 with shipping included. You know, what Garmin and Polar know is that you are more likely to upgrade your Garmin than to buy this if the differential is less than the cost of this item. Meaning, I could get a whole new Garmin and it tells me power. Why, for $400, why would I buy a Stride for $212 even? It's just one data point. Again, I would argue if you really want that, you know, I could do the math with you and I can make all kinds of value propositions for you. I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to challenge you to think a little bit. If you want that Garmin, great. But if you want that Polar Vantage, again, terrific. But the power data you're getting from your wrist is not good data. And it's not usable. And it's not going to get you very far. And I say this again with love, because I've tried a lot of different options. The technology just isn't there yet, kind of like the optical sensor, to give you a really good idea of constant, when you're running on a treadmill indoors, that's kind of the final frontier. When you're running on a treadmill indoors, how far have you gone? You know, if you have a FootPod, it's going to say one thing, your treadmill is going to say another, and if you have I think it was the Garmin 645 a couple years ago that was like, yay, we did it, we nailed it, we can tell you exactly how far you went just from your wrist, you don't need a FootPod anymore. And then people started using it indoors and were like, wait, whoa, this is not an accurate number. Effectively, what's going on with power right now is that same calculation that they use to guesstimate how far you've gone based off of vertical and horizontal displacement in your wrist while running indoors. Which means we're going to have a whole bunch of pissed off people come, you know, December the 3rd. They're like, I don't think this power number means anything. I don't think it's very good. And that's why. If power is a metric you're going to care about at all, it needs to come from a FootPod, and right now Stride is the best FootPod on the market. If power is what you must have, accept that this is what it's going to cost and be ready to pay up for it. Otherwise, what you got, that's nice, it's a toy. It's why I have a BlackBerry. It is a tool. iPhones are toys. I'm not ready to go to the iPhone yet for that reason. Everything I need that keyboard because I'm a typing, emailing machine, response machine. That is all I think about and all I care about really with my phone. It's like it is there it is a workhorse, and BlackBerry is still the best workhorse out there. So those are the bigger categories when I talk about upgrades. Those are the more expensive things that you could do. The final thing that I'll mention is anything sort of kitschy. And I would throw the Nike Vaporfly 4% into this category because that is a hella expensive shoe. Like when you're like, I could get the Vaporfly or I could get for the same price power. What would you recommend, Coach MK? I'm going to pick Stride all day long. Again, not just because I really, really like what Stride is and what it does, but also because when it comes to the Vaporfly, it's terrific. It is a really awesome shoe, and anyone that has worn one can tell you it's a transformative experience. But, and here's the but, if you wear orthotics, then if you put your orthotics in that Vaporfly, you're destroying the shoe. It literally will not work the way it was intended to. Vaporflies were created in an attempt to help Nike break the 2-hour barrier in the marathon under very specific conditions. What they did was cool. It was an awesome experiment, but it doesn't offset other things. Meaning, they were testing this out on perfectly trained athletes that are just about as strong as they could possibly get. If you're not yet as strong as you could possibly get, the boost you're going to get from the Vaporfly, it does not somehow negate, oh, I don't have to do strength work anymore because I have the Vaporfly. That's terrible logic, but that's the way most people think. So I would be very cautious thinking that way. Again, for a pair of shoes that are so expensive and that are effectively going to wear out. One of the reasons I've always hated Nike shoes is they were one of the first to start outsourcing to other parts of the world for production, and then their shoes went to crap. So every single pair of Nike shoes I've ever purchased is worn out in the heel within a month of having it, and it makes me really angry. So that's all I have to say about that. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of Nike products, and it's not like this ideological issue with the company in and of itself. Their quality is really low, and I don't like that. So if I'm going to spend $250, it's going to be on something of relatively decent quality. And between the Vaporfly and the Stride, if you really, really think about the information that it gives you in the output section and swallow your pride and kind of go with it, and I did a stream kind of showing you the output a few days ago and say, okay, this is where I'm at right now, then that's fine. To tell me that my muscular power was like 16% of what would be optimal for me right now. That's a humbling number to say. At the same time, it's accurate. I was in bed for a year. So their solution was, oh, you need more hill sprints and strides, and there are a few other things that they mentioned that I do not think I'm strong enough yet to do without running the risk of getting injured. If I were to charge up a hill right now doing hill sprints, I'm going to tear my knee apart. I'm probably going to hurt my hip. So take their recommendations with Stride and with a grain of salt. Just because if I've been saying, hey, I don't think you're ready to do this yet, you're like, Stride says so. Stride is a guide. It's not really there to be your coach and say, okay, if we need more muscular power, this is how to do it, but is this how you need to do it? Have we really maximized what we can do with strength and loops? If we haven't maximized what we can do with strength and loops, then we probably need to ignore what Stride is saying. So it's a long way of saying, unless you are right now as fit as you think you could possibly get, like we couldn't make you any stronger or get you to kick any harder, then, maybe we don't need Stride at all. It's just something to think about. It's another data point if you're obsessed with data. That's the one to get. But do I need it? I would say no. What you really need to do is focus on strength, because all Stride's going to tell you is you need more strength. Hey, guess what? Your metabolic fitness is here, your aerobic fitness is here, and your strength is here. And that is an isosceles triangle, and we really want more of a parallelogram. So the second category I talk about essentials. This is the stuff that you're going to need or replace over the course of the year anyway, or something you know you need that you don't have yet, like a foam roller. I begged you guys ad nauseum to go to a Lowe's or Home Depot and do what I did and just get a big old PVC riser pipe from the plumbing section. That's one of the cheapest ways to go. Wrap it in the cheapest sports tape you can possibly find, and then it's going to have enough traction not to slip out from underneath you while you roll on it, because those riser pipes were intended to go in the ground and they are slick. So there's that, but another good upgrade would be trigger point, or if you absolutely must, this is called the Rumble Roller. I use this very infrequently, and this was designed for weightlifters, basically, that wanted to get into cardio. I remember meeting the guy that started the company in New York 10 years ago, and this is a really interesting device, but those guys are built like brick shit houses. They are, I don't want to say meathead, that sounds demeaning, but these guys had lots and lots and lots and lots of really big muscles. And this is what you need to break up lots and lots and lots and lots of really big muscles. But I wouldn't say it's better, but be ready. There's something, people love showing up the run club with bruises up and down their legs saying that they've been using this. But there are other ways to abuse yourself. And we'll go through a couple of them upstairs when we get to the stuff that I had and I bought last year at Black Friday. That's really cute. I love you. Thank you. Hi, boo-boo. Hi. You okay? I know it's been a rough day. It's not easy being a baby. So not easy. So when I think about the essentials, if you go over to Groupon right now, and this one's a little more convoluted, if you go to Groupon right now and look for Headspace, it's a meditation app. A subscription to Headspace costs $100 per year. Right now with the Groupon and combined with their Black Friday sale, you can get a year of Headspace in your you can get a year of the Headspace app for something ridiculous like $42.46 is what I think I saw a few minutes ago before I went live on the stream. So check out Headspace. I consider this very much an essential. And it's as hokey as it sounds to start your day with meditation. It's a really great way to end it. Man, I throw it on at night, and that's part of my like relaxing to go to sleep process. Andy Puddicombe has put together a really terrific, I can't say enough good things about it, program there. And it is like a 10-step guide to getting used to being with your own thoughts. But if you can really lean into it, it all bleeds into other aspects of your life. So I've been using Headspace for about 5 years, and I absolutely adore it. Training Peaks. So training, if you work with me one-on-one, I've made you buy this already. Now is the time to go update your Training Peaks. They do one sale a year, and this is another one. They do one sale a year. It's on Black Friday. These guys do Elite HRV, but we'll get to them in a minute. So Training Peaks Premium is what allows me to communicate with my clients on a one-on-one basis through the app. We can through either emails, they put in their comments and I'll respond. And this is one of the reasons I ask everyone is just get in the habit of treating that box like a training log. It's a really good thing to do. The data really only does tell you so much. If you really want to remember what that run is like, you need accurate logging every day. As soon as that run is done, scratched behind my kneecap, had to stop 4 times, was in a really bad mood. All of that matters. It's easy to be like, I only care about data numbers. I'm just so left brain, nothing my right brain, just leave it at home. I'm tired of left brain. Great, like being extreme in that way, it's whatever. If that's really how you want to look at it, you do you. But I'm just saying, the qualitative stuff matters just as much as the quantitative. So get into Training Peaks Premium if you think next year is your year and you really want to do things better. Get Premium and get in the habit of logging whether or not you're working with a coach one-on-one. It's hard to see where you are if you don't have a really good idea of where you were before. And after you get into Training Peaks and upgrade, you might want to start importing the rest of your previous run history. I say use RunGap in order to do it. RunGap is an app that is a bridge app. You connect everything to it and it will import all. If you were using like Nike, a Nike app from like 2009 to 2011, and then got a Garmin and used it for about a year, and then got a Polar, and then used it for 2 years before Polar upgraded to Flow. And then had mapped my run during all that time. That one-time sync and import is worth $3 to have your lifetime of training data right there in Training Peaks so you can see your ebbs and flows. Anyway, if I was going to make one investment in this category this year, I would probably pick Headspace plus Premium Training Peaks over Stride or even an Aftershocks. If your lights are working for you, that is totally cool, but I really love the knuckle lights. There's another set of lights that go on your shoe. I like those. I don't love them, mainly because if I don't have them exactly right, then I would prefer to have the light on my hands. So those 360-degree shoe lights are terrific, but if I had to pick between knuckle lights and shoe lights, I'm going to go with knuckle lights every single time. The best for your shoe is the shoe pod, if you're going to have a shoe pod in the form of Stride. So the third thing to consider when it comes to essentials, or at least I think to be training essentials, it's heart rate variability. This is another data point that is interesting. Nothing is finite though. We've been looking, and we in the sports science industry have been looking for the one data point to rule them all for decades, and it just doesn't exist. At one time it was considered to be the number of miles you did, and then it was like, we found out what the lactate threshold was, and we got real excited about that. Then we could calculate the ventilatory threshold, but no one cared because that's going to make you run real slow. So another metric, if you're going to be using heart rate a lot, one that I like to look at is called heart rate recovery, and that's how fast your heart rate falls and how far it falls in the 1 minute interval after you start a run. So if you've ever looked at my Strava data, I hit the lap button and I start walking when my run is done, and it's all like I don't stop and create a whole second workout because that takes time, and that's again, who cares? I know what that data is there for. I'm not trying to show off to anybody else, like messing with that. Average number was this, and I just can't walk for a minute because it'll drag the average down. You're looking at it wrong, man. You're looking at all of this incorrectly. I would say, so that heart rate recovery, that 1 minute interval, how fast it falls and how far it falls in the 1 minute after you have stopped your workout, just continue walking. You cannot be still for heart rate recovery to be accurate. You have to keep moving, and that means walking at a super leisurely pace, like you're walking my great-grandmother to go get in her car. And when it comes to HRV, heart rate variability, that one's a little trickier. That's the commitment I mentioned in some of the previous podcasts, where I'll take it first thing in the morning. I would sleep in my chest strap, which isn't a big deal because my husband's gone most days. So like I don't, even if there was a little bit of why are you wearing this at night, that's clearly not there because in my last training stop, my husband's still a management consultant. 4 days a week or a day. So the good thing about Elite HRV is that they offer something called CoreSense. CoreSense is a finger-based sensor that again can be charged with a USB cable. So if you're going to take your heart rate first thing, your heart rate variability, it needs to be it's got to be really consistent in your measurement. So at the same time, in the same position, on the same hand, using the same breathing pattern every single day. So Elite HRV has a breathing mechanism on there. You breathe with it, and it takes the measurement. And this is literally what it looks like. It's a circle that expands with the sound of someone taking a really exaggerated deep breath. So you follow their instructions. Bye, have fun.
Hey, see you later.
Love you guys. So with the CoreSense, and I'll show it to you when we go upstairs.
Love
I
you.
love you. Thank you, honey. Bye, baby. Oh wait. Bye, baby. I love you. Oh. So again, this is not a must-buy, but there's I'll show you mine when we go upstairs and we start looking through what Coach MK bought last year. Last year, I think this was a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo campaign, and they've really improved it since then. The CoreSense is terrific, so no longer have to sleep. I just in my chest strap, I can just reach to the side of my bed, clip it on my finger, and it takes the measurement really quickly, and it's very, very, very accurate. So I like it a lot. It's something to think about. If you wanted another data point, I would consider Stride to be an upgrade in whatever you already have. So again, you can upgrade your watch or you can get a Stride. Better yet, if you have a V800 or an M430 like I do, Stride works with it. So it's an expensive watch upgrade, I think. And a year membership to Elite HRV, which also pushes that to Training Peaks. So if you have Training Peaks Premium, once you can connect your Elite HRV account and it will push that heart rate variability first thing in the morning data every single day to Training Peaks. Why does that matter? HRV is a pretty good sign if you're overtrained. It gives us a heads up if you're headed that way. If you're overly parasympathetic, if you're overly sympathetic, if you are overtrained in one direction or another, it's going to be caught in your heart rate first thing in the morning, and that's what heart rate variability is looking for. If you're like, nah, that doesn't sound interesting to me, frankly, this sounds a whole lot more interesting to me than power at the moment for most novice. When I say novice, I mean like you're not yet breaking 3 hours in the marathon, then we can probably get more out of strength. I would worry less about power and just accept like I need more power and say, but am I overtraining in pursuit of that power? This would be a more important metric to have. So that's why, and it's way cheaper. So Elite HRV, I would consider that more essential, and Stride, I consider it an upgrade. And then the third category of things that I like to look at and think about, and just the cool shit. To me, cool shit are the little women-owned brands that you kind of want to support. There's a professional skier. If you remember anything that I was saying during my campaign for Deanna Price, a lot of Olympians, like high-level Olympians, live beneath or right at the poverty line to support their training because, unless you have several really large sponsors, training is expensive. You still have to pay a coach, and you need a nutritionist, and you need a team. You need all the stuff I've been telling you guys. If you really want a capital P perform you need to be working with, they don't have a choice. They can't back off at all. And there's only going to be like one standout on each ski team. How many skiers can you name? I can think of 2. And that's partially because I'm not a skier, but that matters, right? That matters. When you can't name, when the sport is not so popular, when it's not selling tickets, when it's not drawing eyeballs on TV for advertisers, then there's less money left over for the 5th member of the ski teams. My husband mentioned the other day, I was like, well, how many people do we have in a year that are Olympic skiers? Anyway, and he's like, about 25. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, every year we have about 75, at least like in our country alone, world-class skiers that could make the Olympic team, of which maybe 25 will, unless you have a couple of standouts that dominate multiple categories. And he kept talking about this, and I'm like, 25, so how much would it suck to be number 26? But how much more would it suck to be number, I don't know, number 8? I'm guessing, we were doing some math and extrapolating, I'm guessing from 8 through 25, those are the people that live below the poverty line. So when I saw this company, and all they do is knit, she knits caps. She knits really, really cool, insanely warm caps and sells them online. And we'll get to her in a bit, but that's the sort of thing that I think of. When I think about cool shit, I want to support cool companies, little like indie companies that are doing cool things. I want to support mom and pop shops locally. Granted, for some of the bigger purchases, yeah, of course, I'm going to go, or something that's more esoteric, like Stride is not in wide distribution yet. You're not going to find it anywhere, like everywhere. Kind of like the BFF, which I'll show you upstairs again in a minute. These are new companies, new to market, started as a passion project. Maybe they've gotten some traction, but they don't yet have wide distribution in every single Run store across the country, or even in most specialty stores. So if you can find it online. And if you can't find it in your local Run store, find it online. But I also like to look at products that are either totally cool, women minority owned, or just doing something a little bit different. So my husband, if you've heard me talk about, if you've worked with me at all in any capacity, you know my husband's a veteran, and we take that stuff very, very seriously. We volunteer with a lot of veteran organizations, helping veterans make the transition back into civilian life and civilian work habits, since a lot of their credentials and whatnot don't necessarily perfectly translate over. So you could have been working as a medic in a helicopter for 15 years in the military, come over here and it's not the credential, you don't have those credentials you need to get hired right away. We run into that a lot. So I have a special place in my heart for any veteran that's been able to get up enough money to start a company. And Stella Vol is one of my favorite right now. They're having a big sale on their website, and this is, something for you and your daughter. They have matching mother-daughter bracelets. The best within me is the best within you. And I love it. They have a whole collection of mother-daughter bracelets, of family bracelets. If you have like $3 or $4 like I do, you can add on stacks as much as you want and have a whole matching set. You can have them in different ages. But these are 2 veterans, I believe one ex-Marine and one ex-Air Force. Go to Stella Vol and check out their line. They've got really cool, really, it's not the most high-end jewelry. It's all very affordable. But I love the fact that they're veterans. I love that it's a mother-daughter connection. I saw these bracelets one day when I was shopping with my daughter after we'd had a fight. I ran into them. I was wild about it. We bought these bracelets and swore we'd never fight again, which of course we have, but we're going to try to be more conscious with each other. And now when we argue, we bring out those bracelets and we sit and we hold them together while we talk out whatever it is that we were fighting about. So that might be a little cheesy, but that's Stella Vol, and I absolutely love it. So check out Stella Vol. Lowly is another small company in the United States. It's a Canadian company. I'm in love with their clothes. I don't think I need any of their badass jackets because it doesn't get as cold here as it does in some parts of Canada. But their stuff is like a lower price, but not a lower quality, not a low-end Lululemon by any stretch of the imagination. But if you like the look and feel of most Lululemon outfits but hate the price point, Lowly is much more affordable, and their pants fit really, really, really well. So they have options for pants that are not just tights, but are tight here so they don't fall down, and loose enough at the ankles that you could wear them out casually, but tapered enough at the ankle that if you needed to tuck it into a gaiter or a tight sock to keep the snow out while you go for a run, it's totally possible. So I really like Lowly, and the shipping is the part that is really expensive unless you're placing a large order. So if you go to their website now, they're having a decent sale where even if you wanted to get just 1 or 2 items to try it out, I think it would be the discount is enough to offset that shipping cost. If they waived it for today, I'm not really sure. Endurance Conspiracy is cool. That is a company that makes t-shirts, and they're in Boulder, and their t-shirt sales going on right now. And these are super cool t-shirts, and they're very, very creative. All of these guys are professional or aspiring professional athletes, triathletes that again that all live in a big collective up in Boulder, and the shirts are super cool. And so on Black Friday, while supplies last, all of their t-shirts are marked down to $20 and shipping is free. I have about 10 shirts from them that I truly don't need, but it'll say, like last year they had one, the very 70s look, that said jogger, so sexy underneath it, and I'm like, yeah, and I had to buy it. And they have 3 on their site right now that I'm kind of like, I want to support them and what they do. They make cool shit, it's on sale, and I'm probably going to buy it by the end of the day. So there's that. That's the other thing that I really consider. Who are you and what are you doing? I want to support you. I'm not paying $35 for a t-shirt, but I might pay $20 for a super cool t-shirt on Cyber Monday or Black Friday. So again, and the last one is the BFF, and I'll show you upstairs. This is so not essential, but it's cool, and I really like it. And I think Dimity and I had discussed meeting the founders of the company at the Philadelphia Marathon a couple years ago, and I've had a lot of fun. I've gotten a lot of mileage out of this product, but then again, it's not a must-buy. So at a very high level, this is how I approach Black Friday shopping and how I think about it. Is this an upgrade? How many upgrades am I getting? Because these are also the highest ticket items, the biggest ticket items, and arguably it's like, do I really want the new Garmin? Okay, and I mean, don't even try to necessarily be responsible with it. I'm not telling you need to spend $1,000 on stuff. I'm saying a brand new Garmin is going to cost about $500 or $600. So for $500 or $600, we can get a whole bunch of stuff one day only. So if your desire for that Garmin offsets everything else, cool. But if you're like, I kind of want that Garmin because I don't know what else is out there and nothing else is really interesting, I'm going to lead you upstairs and show you some interesting stuff, some things that I like a whole lot, give you more to think about, but this is exactly where I would start. Other things to note, Nike is having a 20% off sale for its whole site, REI is having a great big sale, and Brookstone is having a sale. Brookstone matters for a couple of the electric items that I'm going to be showing you when we go upstairs, but bear in mind, just once we've hit on an item that you like, go look. It's one thing to do a price comparison, but for something like the BFF, Brookstone carries it. The best price right now is going to be through Brookstone's online sale. But that's the way you're going to have to think about a lot of these, because there's not the really cool items are all independent from independent makers, and either the ones that have distribution, the sale's not going to be terrific, but it's going to be happening. So there you go. This is the day to think about it. I'm going to grab my coffee, and then we're going to go play in my room. Before we do, as I grab my coffee, we're going to talk about, very quickly, someone asked, and we're going to walk through the collection, about water backpacks, or backpacks with that carry liquid. I got a CamelBak years ago to run with, not really expecting to use the water. And the few times I have tried to use water with it, it's been really annoying. It sloshes, it with every step, and I don't like that very much. It's super distracting. So CamelBak, I think, makes the best teeny tiny, most comfortable backpacks if you want a backpack, but I do not ever use the bladder with it. It's also super hard to clean. If what you're looking to do is carry water, there are 2 ways I recommend doing it, and both of them come from a company called Nathan. Nathan has an essential handheld water bottle. Again, it sloshes around. There's nothing you can do about that. But the technology in the backpack, it does not slosh around. It's water, it's airtight. You squeeze the water out, you zip it shut, you fold it down, and then as you drink the water, that's a vacuum seal. There's no water getting into that backpack at all, so there's no sloshing with the water. And so if you have to have a backpack, if you don't own a water backpack and if you want a little teeny tiny backpack to run with to work, take a look at what CamelBak offers and throw the bladder away. You don't ever want to use that bladder. If you want the bladder and you want to carry the water, go take a look at the Nathan. And the Jackrabbit Sports has them on sale. Fleet Feet has them on sale. Nathan is a larger company. I mean, it's not a big company, but it's large enough that it does have distribution in most mom and pop run stores. So if you happen to live near one, I'm begging you, please go support local businesses today. They need it. They provide a valued service to your community. Our run community in Denver has never been the same since Run Colorado closed in 2015, and I really like, And if people were mad. We knew exactly who would come in, try stuff on, and then go buy it from Amazon, and we shunned those people because Mike and Nicole needed those purchases to stay in business, and over time it didn't happen. So think real hard, like that extra $5, if it goes towards a company that you love that provides something really valuable locally, that $5 is not like, you're really cheating yourself if you aren't willing to contribute to companies that make you happy and do good things in the world. So if you want to compete on price, it's totally fine, but understand that markup is what keeps a company in business. So, you know, go there and go with God, and, you know, maybe I'm just really rich and I have more money to spend than most folks, but I'm very, very careful about where I spend it and how I spend it, and I'm wishing now that I had spent more of my money, even though we didn't have much before we paid off our student loans, we had way less than we do now. I really wish that I had made more purchases. I don't think I single-handedly could have kept Run Colorado in business, but all of us now, when we go running, we look at each other and we say, man, we really wish this store was still here, and we wonder how much of a difference we could have made if we had all collectively been like, I'm only buying here, and really been vocal and out about that. So it's something to think about. All the stuff we're going to talk through, try it at a local business first. If you have a local run company like Run Colorado that you absolutely love, they can order it for you. Go up and be like, hey, I want a BFF. They're $250. If you were to buy like 10 and try to distribute it here, you could probably get a better price on them. Would you be willing to? And if they're like, no, we don't have it in the budget, that's cool. But you never know, they just might. So start with your local run store if you have one that you care about. If you don't, ignore the thing I just said. Yay, yes, the Nathan Vapor How. Yeah, Julie would have more experience with these than I would, because she's been running longer than I have lately. So Nathan Vapor How. Looks good. I love Lowly as well. I'm a big fan of Lowly. So thank you for those comments. It's also a good time to go take a look and stock up on these loops. This particular brand, Synergy, I think I got a pack of like 30. It's only the super strong, like ultra high resistance loop. But I think I got a pack of 30 for like $32 last year on Black Friday. So because my runners kept taking these from the track. So sorry, 2 years ago on Black Friday. So that is those are useful. I'm gonna move this and take it upstairs. I would apologize for my messy house, but whatever, YOLO. Transitioning out. I feel like my life is going to be in transition for a really long time. We're transitioning out all of the baby clothes that have been totally outgrown. Transitioning out all of the maternity clothes that will never be used again. Transitioning out a lot of my winter running clothes that I don't really fit into yet, but a lot of it I do. So until I have a better idea what shape my body's going to be, we're not throwing stuff away yet. I kind of refusing. I'm like, I don't want to give something away or sell something on eBay, only to wish I still had it a little bit later. So I make no apologies for having way too much stuff, but I will make large explanations for it. Because yeah, my body's changing. Until that change is complete, I prefer not to make big changes to my wardrobe. Now, here comes the array of stuff that lives under there. So this is the foot of my bed, and if you were to ask yourself, gee, Coach MK, why do you have a squishy bathroom mat at the foot of your bed? The answer is I had to get it for this thing that I bought 2 Black Fridays ago. It is a vibrating foam roller from Hyperice. This is the first generation. They've done a couple of upgrades since then. This is not an essential purchase. The reason I put the pad in here in the first place is that when I put this on and try to use it on my hardwood floor, there is a lot of power in here. Like a lot of power in here. And if my kids hadn't been playing with it until they run out the battery, which I'm noticing a little late, I would show you how powerful it is. It bounces up and down on the floor. And you can hear it throughout the house. Oh my goodness. Let me find it. See if I can get this to charge for a little bit. maybe I can get this charged for a little while and then show you when it's done. So this is the BFF. The BFF is a body buffer, and they have lots of uses for it. They claim on the website, and like shaving your legs, maybe. I don't know. I've not actually used this to shave my legs, but I love it. It is this is another better version of the vibrating foam roller. Again, it's totally not essential, and we'll talk through price points in a minute. But it is hella fun. Outlets. Don't have enough outlets in this room. This old house. Okay. It looks like a car buffer. And it feels super neat. I really like it from up here for almost my hips in the butt cave. And that's the whole idea behind the vibrating technology. It's going to be breaking up big dense muscle. It's going to, the vibrations are going to get all the way through to the little tiny muscles without you having to find them and put pressure on top of them. Because the tricky thing about booties and ankles is that you have nerves in there too. It's why I tell you, do not ever get in your booty or your ankle with a lacrosse ball. It's really easy to get it wrong and do permanent flipping damage. So if you were going to do something supplemental, I would prefer this over the vibrating foam roller, but I just want to talk a little bit about the technology involved and show you kind of how this works. You literally just sit there and go over your muscles the same way you would if you were waxing your car, buffing your car. But of all the things that I like that are totally non-essential, this is something I would put in for consideration. But it's $250. It's on sale today through Brookstone's website because they have a 20% off sale. I also think the reviews on Brookstone are completely unfair. This feels really nice, and it does make a difference. This does not replace foam rolling. This does not ever replace the mobility work that we're going to do every night at 7 o'clock on my pipe downstairs. It supplements it in a super cool way. And if this is something you could swing for right now, if you can look in the mirror and say, you know what, I probably could be stronger, then instead of I would forego the power meter. Unless you think like trail running is going to be your thing in the future. If trail running is going to be your thing, you want to get the stride first and then this. Especially if you're going to be working with a one-on-one coach, because if you're a trail runner, that's and your coach knows how to use power, they're going to really be able to do really cool things to get you readier on the trails, to have you more prepared on a higher level. It just opens up a level of conversation you can have with the coach, because it's really hard to be objective about your own numbers and your own data. So yeah, the BFF, I love it, but again, it's totally not essential. But if you have a little extra money lying around, and you're like, that sounds cool, now is the time to get it with Brookstone's 20% off. The company is small, has not been in business very long, and you will probably not get a better sale price than that, unless you run into them at an expo. The next item that I think is super cool that I like a lot, I'm sure you've seen this before, for the more old-fashioned way. This is the new upgraded Roll Recovery, and again, this is way more vicious than the one before. It's a little bit, the springs are a little bit tighter, and it hits things a little bit differently. And I still love it. I use this a lot. If you ever catch me, like I still have the beautiful, vivid memories of recording all the first series of podcasts I did with Dimity McDowell Davis in her basement while I was training for Philadelphia, and I would sit there just mobilizing my thighs the whole time that we were speaking. So I would usually run, shower, and then have to foam roll quickly, and then do whatever mobility work I could just to get to her and fit in her schedule as much as possible. So there's that. But again, you are limited to what you can do with this. This as well costs about $125, but Jackrabbit Sports is having a sale today, and I think their 25% off does include this. It does. Their sales do not, and coupons do not usually apply to this item. So your best bet is to check, again, your local run store, because they will offer more discounts on this than Jackrabbit will. The next good place to see it is on Jackrabbit Sports. They have 25% off, and if you've been spending money there for a while, you probably have dollars in your account. So when I couldn't find my roll recovery, yeah, I have two. I couldn't find the first one. The kids hit it. When I couldn't find it, I looked at my account and was like, oh, yay, I have $90 waiting. So I got the brand new, I was able to upgrade for free, and then of course the next day I found the other roll recovery. So you don't need two roll recoveries. That just happens. That's my bad life. So that is something to consider. This is another item to consider. As much as exists right now to roll your feet with, this and this little item are two of the best. So this is the roll. It's called R8. It's also made by Roll Recovery, and you're going to find it wherever that larger Roll Recovery is sold. Jackrabbit Sports definitely has it, as well as local independent running stores. And the other is this. It's called the Foot Wheel, and I don't think the company only makes like three or four items. And this is one of the 4. So it's not necessarily on sale today, but if you're looking at all this and you're like, I want something new, but I don't want to spend the money, this is $20, and you can get it on Amazon. This is called the Orb. I'm still really squeamish about telling clients you can use this on your hips and in your butt. It is way safer than a lacrosse ball, but there's still risks involved. So if you don't have a lot of upper body strength yet, enough to stay, enough to be safe and secure on this, I would wait on this purchase. But the Orb is really good to have, and it's also a nice cheaper option. This is the therapist's thumb. So when I talk about ankle mobility, and I keep forgetting to do this, my kids like to play with it and they hide it. I just like to spray some dry oil on my legs or massage oil while I'm relaxing at night watching TV, and I can really get into my shins in a brand new way, and I can get down in here to my ankle muscles and mobilize them in a really interesting way. I can also get into my shoulder, and there's a lot of grit and gristle in there from where I dislocated my shoulder after this last baby was born. So I can hit a lot of those areas with more tension with the thumb than with just about anything else. So I'm a big fan of the thumb. I have 5 of these, believe it or not, and they're like 20 or $24. I don't remember exactly. But I have one in each of my purses, one in my car, and one in each of my run bags, which we still haven't gotten to yet. We'll get to that in a minute. So I really like the thumb. If I'm looking at all this stuff on my bed, if you had to buy one item, if you're really serious about mobility, I would get the thumb. If you're like, I'm serious about mobility and I'm on a budget, I would consider the thumb. But the next item I'm going to show you is the purchase that I would make, and that's the Battlestar. So I am a huge fan of Kelly Starrett from MobilityWOD.com. I remember when he first got started, and at that time, people would be like, oh, foam roll, and this is how you foam roll, it's really nice. And he was like, no, you need to break up your tissue, flossing and gluing. And he was really forceful about it and specific. And no one had really been talking that way about mobility before. And to this day, there really aren't that many that do with the level of authority and the depth of expertise he brings to the table. So if I was going to make one purchase this year, this is what you're looking at now, this entire set. You've got the wings, they call them, that go on the end. So, but y'all know how I feel about this. You're never going to get as deep with this. You're just not going to be able to push as hard as you need to get. This is the stick was designed for a sports therapist to use on someone who was not them, to use on another person, because you are just not going to push. Their pain receptors in your brain aren't going to let you push down as hard as you need to go to get changes from this. So if you can afford the whole set, it's $260, I think, and shipping is free. They call it Matt Friday, not Black Friday, at RogueFitness.com. So I'm like, $260 for the whole set is a lot. This was a gift. I'll be the first to admit it. It comes with the spike, the big roller, the little roller, and the cradle. And if I were you, and I was like, I'm serious about running, I'm serious about mobility, but I'm on a more limited budget, I would get the thumb, and I would get this, and I have the prices right here. If the page wants to come back up. So this is called the Little Kit, and it's $82. So for $82, you can get the little roller and the cradle. Start there, and then if you want to add, and then the next addition I would make to it, if I were you, is the spike. And the spike is, the battle saw. The battle saw is $72. So I think of the entire set, if I had to start, I would start here, and then next I would add this, because you can do, again, really cool things with it, and like you're going to get deeper than you would with the rumble roller, and there's something about the fixed, having this in a cradle, being able to set it on a chair and have it still, as opposed to if I were to take my foam roller and lift it on top of a chair, I wouldn't be able to get as deep or push down as hard as I can with this, knowing that the cradle itself is stable and it's my body that's moving back and forth. And that's really what makes this cradle neat, and what makes this one of my favorite purchases in general. Plus, if you really had time, I'd be like, go to Mobility Wide and sign up for a subscription and just like do whatever Mobility they say to do that day. But if you're a runner, not a lifter, you're probably not going to get as much out of it. He is mostly a lifter who happens to run as well, and all of his mobility is concentrated around, most of the content at his site, it's good and it's valuable, but it's just not applicable, right? They want to loosen up their fascia enough that they can kick their legs straight out, go all the way, have their booty touch the ground in a pistol squat, and come back up. That's a CrossFit thing. That's not like a general fitness thing, but then that's also very specific. So that's one example. Or he'll spend a lot of time talking about loosening up your shoulders, which, yes, as a runner, we need to have loose shoulders, but unless you are actually picking up multiples of your body weight with your arms, you probably don't have the type of muscle or fascia supporting your spine that needs to be broken down the way he's going to discuss. So there's value there if you're a lifter or a serious CrossFitter. But if you're not a lifter or a serious CrossFitter, if you're just a runner and you're like, I think that the Battlestar is good, again, this is where I would start. And the final thing in my goodie bag, I mean, there are other, if Amazon.com has these on sale, I always have a box because these keep disappearing, of lacrosse balls. They're good for mobility. I have always have one set of 2 taped together that I use. I have a couple of rogue bones in my spine that like to pop out, and this is how I put them back in. Again, do that at your own risk, and do that with a chiro or your PT. It's something that I've had to work on now that I'm at best a mangy spine that I'm going to be dealing with for the rest of my life. This is the Slack box. I like the Slack box. I can't say enough good things about the Slack box, but the Slack box is $59. And I have not been able to see a sale on this anywhere. And it's pretty much only sold online. I think maybe through Innovate, might be the only online distributor outside of slackbow.com. But this is really, really neat. This is an ankle strengthening machine. It is, the plane of motion is more limited. Let's see. Okay. Be able to see here. So, I was introduced to this by a friend of mine who was a semi-professional ice skater. I love to tease him about being in the ice capades. But this is something he would stand on for several hours a day. Whenever he found himself standing, he would practice on this. This is easier to stash around your house than a BOSU ball. Again, what we can do on a BOSU is, this is much harder one than a BOSU, and it's much more specific. So this is not fungible, like, oh, I can't afford a BOSU, I'll have this. Instead of getting a second BOSU, because we're going to use the BOSU if you continue to work with me for any period of time. The BOSU is never going away. But the ability to purchase a second one, I get it. You don't have, those are expensive, and that's 2 big-ass BOSUs taking up a lot of space in your home. I would keep this in the bathroom or in the kitchen or wherever you find yourself standing and practice being on one foot and just balancing on one leg while you're waiting for the water to warm up, or if you're for the shower, or while you're brushing your teeth. So, again, the plane of motion, as you can see, it's about 4 inches long, and you're limited to left and right. little bit of a bend in the knee makes it easier to recruit the glutes, and now you are on and you are balancing. So there's a lot of value to be had here. I enjoy it, but again, what's hard is looking at this and thinking, is that really worth 60 bucks? That's the question you're going to ask yourself. I would remind you, it's a little dude with a big idea that made this, and that is where he needed to price them to be able to afford to continue making them. So yes, it's worth it for this product to continue to exist in general. I would encourage, and it's durable. I use this every day. Again, it's at the foot of my bed for a reason. It used to be in the bathroom, but the kids like to stand on it, and that was a bad idea. So now I have to hide it in here. But all that just to say, as soon as they're big enough, this is going back in the bathroom rather than the foot of my bed for regular use. And I can't recommend it highly enough. I really, really like it. This, when you balance, is one of the fundamentals of power. So tying back to what I said about Stride, telling you, like, you've got metabolic fitness, you've got endurance fitness, and you've got muscular power, and those are the 3 pillars of an endurance runner. That's really true. The question then comes down to, how do we build power efficiently, effectively, without interrupting your training cycle and without getting hurt? Because all of the stuff we're going to do to really increase power, I get that like the hill repeats or the track reps, those come with a high risk of injury, and we got to make sure you're strong enough to do it before I assign those. And I only, of all the people I train right now, I only have 2 that I'm assigning hill sprints to. And track repeats. So all that just to say, that's aspirational. I would love to be fit enough someday to do hill repeats and track intervals, but trying to do that sooner is not what you need to do. We can get a lot of power in your muscles by stabilizing and recruiting all of the little ones in your glutes to assist, all of the little muscles around your knee when you're trying to balance on one leg, because effectively when you're standing on this, it's taking a pistol squat to a brand new level. It's hard to use, it's hard to do. Again, it's not as, I'm trying to just set the framework here so you don't buy it, well, I can only use it to do one thing. Yeah, but you need to do a whole lot of that one thing, and you're gonna build power. It's why I put you on the BOSU rather than having you lift heavy things. Trying to squat on an unstable surface is going to be, it's a more efficient and a much more effective route to power than picking up heavy things before we've worked out what you can do with your body weight first. So, especially if you're already running. And again, I say this lovingly. I'm not like, well, if you're lifting, you're doing it wrong, because that's not true. I'm a run coach. People come to me to train for things, and what we can do in a training cycle is pretty limited, especially with the more firm and fixed your performance-related goal is. The more give we have to have in all the other areas of our life. So, you know, starting CrossFit is not a hobby that you need to pick up the first week of a brand new half marathon training cycle. But if you've been doing CrossFit for a really long time, sure, we can then layer in running with it, but we have to be careful how we do it, so we're not overstressing your joints. It's not like this is good and that it's bad. It's just understanding, if you have not been lifting heavy things before, if you don't have a strong desire to start, we can do a lot with your body weight to generate power, to build muscle, before we ever need to resort to picking something up. So this is another step in that process of maximizing what you can do with your body weight before we go do something. Because, I mean, lifting weights is hard. It's going to wear you out. They're expensive. A lot of people don't have weights in their home, so you're probably going to have to join a gym. That's adding a step to your day. I don't want to add a step to my day unless it's absolutely necessary. If lifting weights is already part of your day and you have it in your garage, or you have your gym and you have your friends, you have your weight, awesome. Awesome. I'm not talking to you and I'm not criticizing you in any way. You do you, your big, bad, beautiful self. For the rest of us that don't have time to go to the gym, that are trying to pack in as much as we possibly can with what we've got at home, this is a lot cheaper than trying to set up weights in your basement or finding time to do it. So we can do a whole lot with just a few minutes a day on here. In fact, a lot of what I've been doing with Just Series 1 and Aspire is trying to replicate a lot of the ankle work that we get from this. So I'm not saying, you know, everybody doing 3 days at the fair, you must make this purchase. I would be like, this is a really good one, and so is the BFF. If you were training for a 50-miler in the woods, or like really going up and down mountains, I would be like, first the Stride, then this, then the BFF, and then third would be the Battlestar, fourth would be the Battlestar. But you're trying to go on road. We can do a lot. This is not necessary, but if you really want to get something and this has piqued your interest, I would make a big plea for go get yourself a slack bow, a slack block. It's one of the most efficient routes to power. This one's fun. This is not an essential. This goes in the category of cool stuff. This is from AFX Online, and this goes around your foot. Nice and tight. This is totally not essential, as you can see. It replicates a lot of the stuff that we're going to be doing in Aspire, but it gives you a little added resistance. I went through a period where I had to strengthen my feet really badly because I've been wearing a supportive shoe for too long and it started to mess up my knees. And that was my journey down the rabbit hole of physiology started with that. Figuring out like, oh, I just had 2 babies and no one talked to me about foot strength. I had no idea how connected that was to everything. And this is one of the first steps in my journey towards that. So, again, I'm not saying run out and buy this, but afx.com. Sorry, it's afx-online.com. If you have all the money in the world and want another cool toy, this is a cool toy I used as part of my rehab several years ago, and I still pull it out from time to time. Because when you're doing the standing ankle work that I tell you to do, it's really hard to see what your ankles are doing. Here's what I mean. Starting like the first move in desk series, you go down like that. I can't see my ankles right now. So I have you pick up your toes. It's because with the toe up and your pinky toe down, I know that it's almost not totally, but almost impossible to dump into your ankles like that. You want to have your ankles in line. But once I've gone on and I'm fatigued, my toes might drop, my ankles could be dumping, and I won't see it. The good thing about using the AFX is that I can watch my foot while I press, and I'm a lot more conscious of what my ankle is doing. Is my foot sickling? Is all of the force coming from here? Which, if that's the case, notice how my ankle is dumping inward. That's a sickle. Either that or that is considered, because I'm hypermobile, is considered sickling. So that means the force is not being distributed equally through my foot, and that's gonna cause knee problems. So every once in a while, still for me, I'll pull that out and play with it, just because I can very, very, very definitely see what my ankles are doing. But it's part of my fitness journey. Before I stand up, I'm just gonna use this. Final good note about the bathroom pad on the bedroom floor is it keeps my Battlestar from moving. Sliding around. Yay! Ooh. That is so nice. Yes, if you do the BFF, you do have to roll. You would roll first and then use the BFF, Julie. They're on sale. The BFF's on sale at Brookstone, because Brookstone has 20% off the entire site, but I'm pretty sure that's the only place I've seen it on sale. Yeah, I love my Slack block. So, final things here, we move into my office. You can see it's my husband's from Orange Theory, my Stride pad. I like having this wobble pod. I sit on this wobble pod. It's like 14 bucks, again, from Amazon. I spend most of my day sitting on that because I'm a dummy and I let my decorator talk me into this horrible chair that hurts my back. And what I really need to do, and what I'm probably going to do as soon as the stream is over, is go buy one of those guy and ball chairs from my office and just start sitting on that, because trying to sit forward on that, it's starting to get to me. You know what? The other toys in here, I don't use that often. So we're just going to stop we're just going to quit while we're ahead. Yay! Yeah, I don't remember what it was. I think I brought everything over here. Yeah, I'm still... Oh, this is always good, too, from Amazon. Just a whole bunch of TheraBands. I have them stashed all over the house. I use them for different things. The one here, it's for the rehab for my thoracic spine. Let's see if this vibrating foam roller is done, or at least it's got enough juice to work with yet. Okay, here we go. So this is Hyperice. Hyperice has a lot of products on its website right now. The one, if you had to get one, I would say, and this is only if you have back issues, they have this amazing vibrating heating pad that, my first trimester of pregnancy, it just felt so good because I had all that SI joint pain, inflammation, and dysfunction from diclegia and gaining 30 pounds in 3 weeks, which was terrible. That was how I would spend most of my day in bed or on the bathroom floor, and in between charging sessions with all that vibration going into my back, trying to calm it down. So, but I haven't really used it since then, once I got too big to wrap it. And my back is mostly under control. It's just when I don't have that type of ongoing burning, searing, hard to function pain. So if that's where you're at, definitely check out Vyper, VYPER. They have a Black Friday sale. That's where I got this 3 years ago. At the same time, I can't be like, this is the best use of your money. Let's see if you can see. Turn this down a little bit. No disrespect to them. I like this product. I don't like the company, but here we go. There are 3 levels to it. So, hence the pad on the floor was attempt number 1 to really utilize this. So it's quieter and it feels really nice, but again, what you can do is so limited, because if you're not using this point or another point, like on the same point on the other side, it's really hard to isolate anything. And you have to like turn it completely off to switch from one body part to the next. So it's not that it's useless, but did you also hear? So for number 1, it's the first disqualifying thing is like, it's super powerful, but once you get on it and you have it locked into position, it's like, it doesn't penetrate as deeply as you would expect, for 1. 2 though, it's good. I'm not saying it's a bad product. I'm just comparing it to everything else. I would rather use the pipe downstairs and follow up with the BFF, finishing off things like my hamstrings that are hard to get to with a combination of the BFF and the Battlestar, then jump right into this. Because again, if you're trying to do your hamstrings with this, yeah, you're going to get kind of deep with the vibration, but you're still not going to get into it and mobilize, because now you've got to somehow apply force to your thigh to keep this thing from, bouncing away and taking you with it. So it's not that it's a bad product. It's just, again, it's $250. They're on sale on their website now. I think it's 25 or 35% off right now for this. I don't remember exactly. Don't hold me to that. I didn't look too closely at this one before coming on. It's something that I own. It's something that I use on occasion. But it's not my go-to product. It's not an essential. It's just like, okay, I have everything that you mentioned, MK, but that. Should I get that? Sure. If you really want one, this is the time to do it. This is another company. It's emerging technology. They have their C funding. They're not going anywhere. I'm not worried about them going bankrupt like Lumo Run. At the same time, it's kind of, it was a kitschy thing 2 years ago. Everybody had to have one, and now people just don't really use them. And this is a very expensive thing to not use. All of these items are very expensive to not use. So I'm just trying to think. The deterrent for use here is the sleeping baby that's usually in the hallway. The kids that are downstairs, because they hear this, even on the mat, it can be heard 2 floors down, and they're like, what is going on? And if I let go or get off it and it bounces away from me, it scares them. So with little kids, this is just, it's not the most practical thing for my old house with hardwood floors and little children running through it. Without, barring those 3 items, when my kids are a little bit older, if we get a different house with more carpeting, I might have a different feel for it. But for now, the times I would want to use it, I'm usually not able to. So therefore, I think of this as a limited use item. Not limited usefulness, just one that for $250, or even like 25% off of $250. I work with a lot of you enough, or enough mother runners have complained about $30 a month for a training program. I can only imagine what you say about a $250 item lying around your house that you aren't using every single day. And no, I'm not letting that go anytime soon, man. I had to hear about the freaking price of my products for last 2 years. I'm going to make sure you remember it on my way out. Yay! So, this kind of concludes Black Friday. I hope that you guys got something out of it. I don't know if this wasn't exactly what you expected, but these are the things that I'm looking at, the products that I'm excited about, the things that I would recommend to you that I own myself. As far as like new stuff goes, the same rules apply. I'm still not excited about Garmin because I still like buttons and not touch screens, because I've had a touchscreen watch. Didn't work for me. Either I have to take my gloves off and that's a pain in the butt, or I bump into it accidentally and change the face or hit the lap button and that's a pain in the butt. All of the touchscreen anythings are more trouble than they're worth for me, so I don't like them. I like buttons. I like keys. That's why I have a BlackBerry. I'm going to be a BlackBerry and Polar girl for a really long time. But you know what? My ish works in the cold. My ish works with mittens. My very, very simple thing does exactly what I need it to do. And it connects with Stride, which is pretty cool. So I can add that element of power now that I need that metric to grow right now. That's what's motivating me. You guys are, more often than not, my clients are like, I want to see my easy effort pace getting faster. I'm like, no, I want to see more power generated in aggregate over the course of my workout, because that is what I'm looking for every day after a year in bed and change, to know that I'm on the right track and I'm legit getting stronger. You can see my metabolic fitness is there. That's 30 years of experience. You can see my endurance fitness is still there. That as well is been sticking to the Pilates and 30 years of run experience. But you can also see how I'm not really able to leverage that at all when you look at, like, you know, this is 35% of where we would want to see it, and this is 38% of where we would want to see it, and then my muscular power is 16% of where we would want to see it. So that's my biggest item for improvement. So as long as that percentage number is ticking up on a week-by-week basis, that is what I look to keep me motivated, to make me do my next round of strength, to make me actually care about showing up to mobilize at night, even if I didn't run that day, knowing that seeing that number tick upwards, that's my motivator, and that is what I look for. That is how I keep myself engaged in strength work that I don't want to do. You think I like Pilates? Y'all remember how angry I was, how bitter I was? I don't know if I was that open about it. I was very open about it in front of people that had to interact with me a lot. I don't like doing Pilates 8 hours a week. I don't. No offense to Pilates, it's not running. And right now, for the rest of my life, I am staring down an hour of Pilates every single day just to keep my spine in place, my ribs in place, and everything tucked into where it needs to be because of my degenerative issues. So what keeps me in the game is having a metric there to care about that actually does translate over to running, and that metric is power. So that's why I care about power. Why should you care about it? That the only number I would look at if I was you is watching that muscular power number tick up week after week, not run after run, but week after week. And if that is motivation enough to keep your head in the game doing the strength work through the winter, so be it. Right now, Strava doesn't have a good proxy for it. Training Peaks doesn't have a good proxy for it. That's a number I can back into in Training Peaks, but it's not real consistent from run to run. Power is a standardized metric that I don't have to do a lot of thinking when I see it. So when I see, there's a way you can back into it in Training Peaks, but it requires thinking, and it requires, which again, it's not a big deal, but it's not something, if you aren't paying me to do, if you aren't paying me $350 a month as a one-to-one coach, I am not doing that deep of analysis of every single run just to make you a little less anxious. Right? That's a lot of money, but it's a lot of time. So it's like, what can I spend my time doing? Snuggling a baby or backing into a number when you could go get this thing and just watch it tick up over time and get basically the same thing with less trouble on my end. So, if any of my private clients are watching this, that is one reason to consider a stride. The thing is, and again, you cannot ever come at me and ask, what's a good power metric? There isn't one. This is too new. I can say, well, for someone coming in to brand new to a training program, it is normal to see an EF, an efficiency factor, in Training Peaks. And that's one metric that I monitor over time in my one-on-one clients. So it's normal to see an EF of 0.8. Is that good? It's not where I would want it to be for someone that's prepared, that's entering a half or full, much less longer training cycle, for a half or full marathon, that is. I really want to get that up to at least a 1 before race day because of reasons. And we could talk a lot about those reasons, but I'd advise you to start by reading the big book of the Triathlete's Training Bible by Joel Friel. He goes through, and if there's a book for your Black Friday list, that's the Triathlete's Training Bible, 3rd edition by Joel Friel. It's terrific. It covers a lot, but you need a base of knowledge really before you go in there. Otherwise, you're going to be like, this is not a step-by-step how to look at Training Peaks manual or how to be a coach manual. It's more like how to think about the inputs and the outputs in this system. So it's a little esoteric, but if this is something that keeps you up at night, if you really worry about those numbers in Training Peaks, that's an investment worth making. And again, if you come at me with the basic knowledge, I'm happy to talk you through some of it, but actually doing a whole lesson on it, I would need a lot of you like here at Engage to really have a big talk through Training Peaks, because the way, I don't like giving people new things to worry about. Right? I would rather tell you every single day that this thing that you're worried about is not a thing at all than have you come at me, how about this? How about this? How about this? Because now every time it's a, how about this? That's another number that you probably, or another metric that you can't game or push artificially in one direction or another, which means it's going to be another thing you can't control, and therefore another thing you're going to fixate on and spin out about. It's just adding to the list. It's not actually making you more secure. So go forward at your own risk, but the thing, HRV has a, I forgot to show you the core sense. So unfortunately everything spits out to my phone, so I can't really show you right now, but this is the core sense, and that's just the charging cable. So you wake up in the morning, you put on the core sense, you connect, you let the app, in this case in my phone that you can't see it, let the app find to connect to core sense, and then it'll kick off the reading. And do it first thing in the morning on the same finger in the same position at roughly the same time every single day for that level of consistency. And it just tells you, like, okay, right now you're ready to go. It doesn't mean you should go for a hard workout, but it'll say, hey, you know, if you have a hard workout today, you and your coach might want to reconsider. And again, it's super fuzzy. So if you didn't sleep well the night before, your HRV is going to suck. If you had a big fight with your husband right before you took the reading, then your breathing's going to be off, your HRV is going to suck. So it's another reinforcement of all the stuff that I've been telling you. Like, yeah, your body does not differentiate between psychological and physiological stress, and having a big fight with your husband can put as much stress on your system as a really hard workout. Therefore, not saying everything needs to be perfect all the time, but all of these things have an impact on your body. So if there is a day you wake up and it's like, yay, it's my hard workout day, and HRV's like, you might want to reconsider it, take stock of your body. Is there a red flag that you've been missing? It's a conversation to be had. It's not something to be categorically disregarded. The few times I've tried to use this with my one-on-one clients, it has ended in total disaster. Total disaster, where either I'm hearing things about their private life that I really don't need to hear, because most of the people I train one-to-one live in the area, and I run into them and their spouses, and I'm like, I really cannot afford to have this much knowledge about you, or your spouse. And the other is that, like, it spins them out. Yet again, I have to miss a hard workout, coach. And I'm like, no, that's not what it says. But understand, you're coming in at a disadvantage because you didn't sleep and you had a big fight. That's what this is saying. If you don't hit the paces today, your day is not starting from the top of the podium. So since you're already kind of in the water, if this workout isn't glorious, it was never going to be, and you've known that since you took HRV this morning. That is how you need to look at it. No! And then I can't. It doesn't end up being an effective conversation. So it really depends on your mindset. HRV can be so helpful. Like, okay, because it is what it is, right? It doesn't mean we have to change things unless I'm like training someone one-to-one and we're getting ready for a 100-miler and they're doing like, so you've got 5,000 feet of vert today. Okay, that can inform if you have muscular pain and what you think could be on the side of your hip, which would make me nervous, right, to have muscular pain, sharp pain in your hip, and now we're looking at downhill running the next day, and you're like, okay, my HRV says that I'm in a really terrible place. It'll be like, okay, you know what, today's going to be a recovery run/walk, and we're going to try to figure out what's going on with your hip. So that's why I say it's a conversation. There's never like a binary yes, no type answer to these things, and if there was, it's probably not going to get you where you want to go because it's disregarding a whole bunch of things that matter. So when I think about the core sense, that's what I think about. HRV can be a really super helpful metric, but it is not one metric to rule them all. Power can be a super helpful metric if you have the mindset to let it help you, as opposed to, okay, coach, we've been doing this for a while and my power output's not increasing. Then it's a conversation, all right? Have we really been? Let's go into Training Peaks and let's see what's been working. So this is a more sophisticated discussion that I can have with private clients, but it's not one I'm having with my coach at all. I just need to see, like, okay, I'm starting from the first time I put that in, my muscular power output was 11, and that was in August. So I'm at 16 now. I have no idea what a decent rate of climb is or should be, and I don't really care. Like, am I where I need to be? I'm doing the best I can with what I've got. So as long as that number is going up over time, that is all I need to be happy. It's when you start demanding size and frequency, that's when you're going to be heading into a stressful place. And none of this is meant to stress you out. It's meant to chill you out. It's meant to keep you motivated. It's meant to keep you moving. But again, you need to really guess and check your mindset before you go start spending money to add more formal things to a program that arguably is totally fine just as it is. So that is how I would think about all of these things. If you have any questions, toss them in the chat. The final thing about HRV, and I can take some screenshots and post them in the group later. Play with the app and see. I think it's kind of neat. I can usually tell with my one-on-one clients in Training Peaks if they're getting overtrained before we've gotten there. What the HRV output is going to reinforce is either I'm right or alert me that I don't need to know exactly what's going on in your private life, but if there's something super stressful, low-lying, like continually burning in the background, and the HRV is going to give us something to talk about and say, hey, I'm a little concerned. There are these 4 red flags that I'm seeing and none of them have really changed in 2 weeks. Oh, well, it's my marriage. That's why I started doing this in the first place. Okay, I'm not the appropriate person to have that conversation with because I'm not a therapist, but you might want to consider it's been a month and there's a net amount of stress on you that has not released at all. It's definitely impacting your running. And if it's impacting your running, it's probably bleeding into other areas of your life. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what you're paying me to get to a goal. And I'm telling you there's something in your way right now that could be standing on more than just your running. So I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, but at the same time, we can't ignore really big things that are going on and put it all on me to be like, this number isn't changing. Well, Is that really me? Is that the training plan? We can talk about it, but that thing that you think is usually the solution if you started with the diagnosis, I need more hill reps. Like, not with this HRV, you don't. Not with this power output number, you don't. Let's maximize over here first, straighten out that triangle, and then we'll talk about track reps and hill reps and lifting heavy things. But between now and then, we got to fortify your body a little bit better, even out that output. Otherwise, we're sending you out to do something one-legged or effectively, because that's like pistol squats. Hill reps are effectively pistol squats up a really, really steep hill. If you think about it, kind of like hill bounding, kind of like high knees. And if you're doing that with cyclical imbalances, with glutes that don't recruit, we are tearing your body up for no good reason. We're not making it stronger. And that the key to everything is to avoid that. So that thing you're asking me to do is probably, I get that it's what you want to do, but it's probably not what you need. So at the end of the day, the best investment you can make is in whatever's going to keep you motivated and moving forward, whether that's a coach or that percentage number on a power meter, or seeing the shaded blue area in Training Peaks under the blue line. That's your badass. Think of your badass growing over time, and it does really grow over time. Whatever it is that keeps you happy, motivated, and moves you forward, and doesn't give you something else to ruminate about. And ruminate, like anyone that's like, I'm over analytical. No, you ruminate. It's a bad thing. Let's stop doing that bad thing. If you're ruminating, we need to limit your ability to do that. So maybe we do none of these things. But it's always a conversation I'm happy to have here in the training pages, because you were coached and loved and winning at life, and I want you to go spend all the money too, but I really want you to be conscious of how you spend it and make sure you get your money's worth, even if you paid $50 for something that looks like wood slapped on top of a big old piece of foam. That's probably one of the best things you could buy this year. Oh, the roll recovery is great. The sale, double check. It's hard, the sale on roll recoveries. They don't have them very often, and they're usually excluded from sales at stores like Fleet Feet, or the independent run brands. I think they call it Jackrabbit Sports now. Usually the roll recovery items are not included in their sale. So like the whole store can be on sale. Everything's 25% off except Nike Vaporfly, these 5 items and the roll recovery. So the way that I do it is, or the way that I get a lot of my discounts, is I go to my local run store, which happens to be owned by Jackrabbit now, and I'm conscientious about making my purchases there, so that I get, for every every $100 I spend, I get $10 store cash. So that was how I bought my latest roll recovery, was through their points program. So it's something to think about too. Oh, you want me to talk about these shoes? Okay, yeah, my nasty ass shoes. Okay, these are Vibrams, the 5 fingers. I really like them. They keep my toes separated, and that's really great. And that's important to me for a lot of reasons, but you want your foot moving freely, that we're building up foot strength. I'm not saying run in them. I don't run in my Vibrams. I never really have. I did briefly back in like 2010 before I got pregnant. But you need a lot of foot strength and a lot of ankle strength out the gate before you start running in these. Start by walking around in them. I love just having these to slip on my feet and go. They're my go-to shoe for everything. Now that I'm not pregnant, I lived in Hoka recovery sandals for the duration of my previous pregnancy, and the pregnancy before. Talk about the best $50. I wore those shoes every day for, all in all, probably 20 months. So that, I really got my money's worth out of those shoes. You can take your OOFOS and shove them. My Hokas are still in great condition. There's virtually, they've clearly been worn, but they have not changed shape in any discernible way, which is amazing for shoes that got as much wear as those did. Same with my Vibrams. I've never really needed to replace Vibrams. They last forever. These that on my feet, granted, yes, I've been pregnant for a while, but I wear these all the time, and the bottoms, as much as I wear these, the bottoms should be smooth. It should be worn. It should be like rolling from one side to another, but it's not. So I can't say enough good things. These Vibrams, I think, were $70, and I might have gotten them for $50 at the end of season sale because mint green was going out or whatever. So that's why we're big old ugly mint green 5-toed shoes. I love them. You may not, but I do. This is also a good time. Speaking of cool brands, there's another brand that I like called Skora, and I don't know how well struck their website is right now, but the thing I like about them is that they have the tongue goes to the side of your foot, so instead of like having to tie your shoe like right here, which can be painful, it comes up the side like that and it ties on the side, and that's super neat. But those are a more that's a shoe to kind of work up to as well, because it's super minimalist. And their tempo model, they haven't replaced it since 2015, and I think the only size left on the website right now is a 5 and a 5.5. So smaller for too small for my feet. But if you're a 5 or a 5.5, you can go there for, I think they're having a 40% off sale right now, trying to get rid of the rest of their inventory, hopefully to bring in more. So that's one cool shoe brand to check out. Topo Athletic is another. A lot of theirs, it's not a 5-toed shoe, it's a sloth-toed shoe, or I jokingly call it a camel-toed shoe, and the rep got really mad at me. So so they divide it into like your big toe, and then your 4 toes are together, and there's a divide in the middle in a lot of the Topo Athletic shoes. And I like the way they fit. I like the way they ride. I don't swear by them, but I like them a lot, and I wore the hell out of them in 2014. Trying to think other items. People asked about gloves. So what REI is having a big sale right now. I would start there. Obviously start and try local first, but if local doesn't cut the mustard, when it comes to gloves in the winter, everyone's like, I want the warmest gloves I can possibly get. Anyone that's ever lived in a colder climate is probably going to advise you that you're looking at it incorrectly. What you want to do is have a glove liner underneath. You don't like, get a glove that is preferably, warm, maybe depending on where you are and what you're doing, right? So for Julie, who's going right now into the mountains, into the snow for really long periods of time, a glove liner is a good thing to have, and then something waterproof or windproof on top, or puffy. You can go a lot of different ways, but you find you need less on top when you've got that wool glove liner next to your skin. And after you've been out for a while, you can take off the outer layer, or what I like to do, because I'm really nasty, like really nasty. I like to, when my hands start to get warm and a little sweaty, I'll take off the wool layer and put the other glove back on, and because I find I need that. I don't want that first sweaty wet layer next to my hand anymore, and I sure as hell don't want to expose it to the cold and to the wind, because then your hand's going to get really cold really quickly. So what I do is I'll have a liner, and then have a mitten of some sort, or a windproof glove on top of it, and then take the liner off and put the regular glove back on once my hands have established a certain, when I've been out for like an hour and my hands are generating heat and they're warm enough, starting to get a little too warm. You don't want to stay too warm, because then your fingers are pruned, and that's useless at the end of a run. But right now with REI having a sale, and I'm sure like your local ski shop or any ski shop online is going to be having a sale, go look for glove liners. You want super thin wool glove liners. That's going to be better than investing in whatever the big bad mitten is this year. Those are good, but you still need a glove liner to really get your money's worth out of them. Until my husband taught me this trick, year after year, I'd buy gloves and be like, fuck that, and fuck that, and fuck that, and fuck that. I still got cold, I still stayed cold. And he's like, well, what liner are you using? And I'm like, what? And then now I feel really stupid. So over the years, I've wasted a lot of money on the newest glove or mitten, when what I really should have been looking at was glove liners. I would advise you to do the same. Wool socks, this is a good time. You might only need 1 or 2 pairs to get through the winter, but they're still good to have. I have 4 pairs of wool socks. Back when Smart Wool made 5-toed socks, I stocked up on that because no one wanted them but me. So when they went on sale, I'm like, mine. And they last forever. I also have some, when it's really cold here in Denver, it can be like, it's not cold very often, but when it is really cold, it's extreme. And it's hard to heat all of the house completely. So I have a pair of wool socks with little bubbles on the bottom, kind of like if you remember the footed onesies your kids would run around in. You wanted with the sticky pads on the bottom so they didn't slip in the house. So I have a couple pairs of wool socks with those sticky bubbles on the bottom that I get from a Pilates store online that are really fantastic and worth considering, because it's got the 5 toes in the bubbles. You don't want to put those in a shoe ever, but they're nice and warm to walk around the house in, especially if you're having to run up and down the stairs a lot with a teething baby in the middle of the night. Other essentials, just check out the best. Everyone everything online, prices are pretty much equalized now. I mean, it's an open market. It's not like it used to be where one retailer has this for $30, but somebody else has it for $5. Like that, those types of the price information we have is damn near perfect now. And it's almost completely equal across the board. So price matching is a thing too. I would say focus on what you want and supporting the businesses you love, and not about worry less about getting the best possible price. Because once again, even if you're paying like a teeny tiny markup to Jackrabbit Sports, you're also getting $10 back of every 100 you spend, and that adds up over time if you're a really loyal consumer. So, you know, granted, there's something to be said for Amazon and making that purchase and having it come to your door, and no disrespect to Amazon in any way, shape, or form, but Amazon has never offered me a local run club. The way Run Colorado did, and I really miss Run Colorado every single day. So if I didn't miss it so much, I wouldn't make this impassioned plea to like go shop local, but definitely think about it, see what their rewards program is, and then try to build that loyalty. It means something. It means a lot. And not worrying so much about the price of something like a Slack block, that's going to keep other innovators interested in doing these things and innovating and making new stuff. Otherwise, it's just going to be big companies saying, can we sell this? Nah, I don't think so. I don't see that vision. And I think the Slack block is absolute genius. I'm horrified that it's not in more stores. If we could get wider distribution on it, the price might come down because they would be able to mass produce it instead of like making inventory and holding it in his garage, which is literally what I think the dude does. So all that just to say, like, you support good ideas, support entrepreneurs, support people that are being creative and bringing good stuff into this world, because if we're waiting on corporations to do it, it could take a while. Longer than what we have, longer than what we would want to wait for. And then it might, maybe 10 years from now we'd get this really cool thing at an affordable price. But something like this today, I mean, $60 for what it looks like. Again, I really feel like that's wrong. If it broke the first time I'd used it, I'd be like, don't spend your money. But it hasn't. It just looks flimsy. It's not actually flimsy. I get a lot of things that I think a lot of the new Garmins, I don't like them because they look flimsy to me and they feel cheap on my wrist, and I don't like that. So, you know, being competitive on price, you're going to get a cheaper product, but you're not necessarily going to get more innovation, a better product, or improvement anywhere. If the only data point you look at is price, I would argue that's almost as short-sighted as only looking at your easy effort pace on the run. So Julie, let's say hypothetically I don't care about data or power or diving deep. Should I still consider the Stride? Nope. Nope. Now, I mean, honestly, if you don't have, the only time I'm really kind of insistent about it is I have one guy that runs a lot. I actually have 3. My local run club is out of control. I love these guys. I've been coaching them for years. Vanessa and Gerard and Abby and whatnot. And Rochelle's just as bad. They think I don't know how crazy they are because they don't tell me like their race list. And then I'll be on Facebook going through my feed and be like, oh, it's a Sunday. I wonder what race they signed up for they didn't tell me about. And I'll see that they're doing some like 55K trail race in the middle of Moab. And I'm like, that's why you weren't at the run store this morning. Thanks, guys. Those people I want to have a Stride meter because I want to make sure that they're doing, because they also don't put their strength work into Training Peaks. And I have not that like I specifically need that, but I need to know that you're, beyond like I need to know that you're doing it. And I know that they don't. And that's okay. So I would beg them to get a Stride meter because it's like, hey, you guys, you do a whole lot of stuff. I know you don't do my strength. Could we please talk about this is why this, I would have them buy it as a way to get them to kind of care about that strength component. For just about everybody else, especially if you're compliant with strength already and Twitch has been helpful there, I'd be like, let's stop the buck there. Get the BFF instead. That's more fun. And it feels good and it's great at parties. I've had people come over and just be like, there was a day at the Everything party right after I got this. It happened to coincide with the Colfax Marathon, so people were coming by, and like I just sat there and like buffed people all day long outside the door. Kids, it was hilarious and it was fun. So I felt like I got my whole money's worth out of the BFF that day. Solex gloves are very thin and lovely. They'll fit nicely under big old gloves. And Gingy's having a 20% off sale for other toe sock livers. Yay! Okay, I've not been so much a fan of Wassail, but I haven't tried. I don't like their Luxe material very much. It feels kind of icky against my skin. But I'm kind of a princess like that. The gloves that I'm loving right now, funny enough, I just got from Lululemon. They have these big puffy mittens that don't have fingers. So it's like a mitten and then it's your hand. And I was obsessed with that because I've looked for something like this for years and had no luck. Everything that folds over has a mitten underneath it, and usually that mitten, the gloved part underneath the mitten wrapping, I hate so much that I end up giving the glove away. This is the first glove I've ever seen that's puffy, it's waterproof and windproof, and it's just my fingers underneath, so I can wear my glove liner with it and do just fine without it too. And that I don't know why that makes me so happy, but it's something I looked for a really long time and just couldn't find. The mitten separate from the glove itself. So the ones I liked before that were made by Saucony, but I don't think Saucony makes them anymore, and gloves are unfortunately one of those things I'll lose a lot. Someone asked in one of the groups about a rain jacket. With that, I'm kind of indifferent. I don't like the Wassail rain jackets. I've had a really bad time with those because they're so lightweight that unless it's zipped all the way up, there's no way to pin it down, and it distracts. It's like it keeps hitting me in the chin while I run, and I hate it. I really hate it. So I gave away my Wassail rain jacket a long time ago. The one I like when it comes to a raincoat, I like them to be really, really fitted. So I can show you the two that I like. But you're going to hate the answer, to be honest. So this is the first one I found. So I have two raincoats that I love, and both are made by Lululemon. This collar is tiny, and it doesn't really move. There's something about the design that when it's on, it's fitted, which is a good thing in a rain jacket. As much as very little of what I wear is form-fitting or fitted. But there are certain things that kind of need to be fitted well. When it comes to a jacket, you want it to be well fitted in the shoulders for that reason, so the collar doesn't flop around. The second thing I like about this is that it's very thin, and it's breathable, and you can see from the mesh on the sides and in the back, it keeps the water out, but it also lets some of the heat out. Because the problem with a lot of rain jackets is that you warm up so quickly, then you're sweating inside the jacket. A lot of them trap, anything that's waterproof that's going to keep the water out is going to be really good at keeping your body heat in, and it's easy to overheat. So when I go for a run, even in the dead of winter, I will probably wear something very thin and short-sleeved underneath my rain jacket, wear something warm over the rain jacket until I've warmed up, then toss that over jacket or sweatshirt into my car and finish my run like this. And I can do that even down, granted I'll have stuff on my hands and earmuffs, but I won't need much more than a thin shirt and a rain jacket to go for a run most of the time in the winter because they trap heat that well. So I think when it comes to running in the rain, those are the two most important things. One, it needs to be fitted. Whatever body shape or size or type that you have, find something and go for a jog around the store in it and see what happens if you do zip it up all the way. If you do, is that going to be comfortable? Can you breathe? Can you have if you run with music, can you have the cord next to your skin, and where's the collar too tight? All of those little details are important because again, you can buy a really terrific raincoat and then end up almost never using it, and they're a hell of a lot more expensive than the Slack Block, but you're going to look at it wrong, right? You're going to be like, oh, it's worth it. This jacket is worth, I don't know, $130. But I would say if you wear it twice a year, or you don't wear it because it doesn't really rain that often near you, or you never wear it at all because you don't like the collar flapping, or you don't like the fact that it's tight, I would say that that's actually not necessarily money well spent. Go get something you're going to use on the regular. If it doesn't rain a whole lot in Denver, so I bought this back when I lived in New York where it did rain more. But that's just something to think about. Anything that's going to keep the rain out will keep the heat in. So make sure that you've kind of dressed the way that you would dress in the rain to go try it on in the store. I wish I could speak for Wassail, but their collars are just really big and the material is too light. So I'm not a huge fan of the Wassail Run jackets. Lululemon has really done some really outstanding raincoats, as weird it is to say. The problem is there again, sizing. They don't size up very well. I think the largest size they usually make is a 12. They claim to be expanding up into 16s in the coming year, but I haven't seen that on the website yet. So if it does happen, I'll let you know. But right now, your best bet is probably to go to REI and get something like what I'm about to show you. This is my other rain jacket. I got this decades ago, and it's still one of my favorite purchases. This is a Mizuno ultralight rain jacket. I mean, it's so tiny, it rolls up into a little ball. And I used to keep this in my car. It does not get play anymore, like that new one does, because it's not fitted. And again, it's so light that parts of it would float around whenever I wore this. If I had it zipped all the way up, it didn't drive me crazy, but I couldn't leave it unzipped at all because all the flapping would start. And plus, the material is so light. It might as well not have pockets, because anything in your pocket, it's because this is the other offset, right? You get something that is thinner, it's easier to work with, but like now you have keys in your pocket, and those keys are going to jangle up and down against your side for the whole run, and that is really annoying. So again, it's something to think about. You get a jacket like this, think about, what am I going to be running with? My car keys, my essentials, what do I need to have in me? And maybe you need to go running with a fanny pack or a Nathan pack too. Because putting anything, the first time you go for a run with anything in your pockets and it jangles and it drives you nuts, you're not going to do it again. So these are all, this is what goes through my head when I'm trying to put on a rain jacket. Do I really want to do this? I guess is what it kind of comes down to. Yeah, but this Mizuno was a really good purchase. But those two reasons were I never really used it. Once I got something that was a little more fitted, even though the Lululemon jacket is almost as light as this one, and it rolls up just as tiny, the fact that it's fitted against my body means I don't have that flapping going on with something heavier like a key. And the way the pockets are cut, something heavier like that will be trapped here against my body in the bottom part of the pocket. It's just really smart how those pockets are made so that you don't have the flapping going on. So, and that's also why it's important that to look at products that have women on the design team. It matters. Dudes, this was made for dudes. A lot of dudes that I've talked to are kind of like, yeah, you're crazy. That doesn't happen. I just put my keys in my back pocket. Well, I don't own a single piece of running gear with back pockets, period. Or it might have a waist pocket, but that waist pocket's not big enough for my car keys. Yeah, I don't mind getting wet when I run. It depends on how much rain, though. In New York, we used to get some heavier rain or really consistent rain, or even worse, like rain that would turn into sleet. So something like a rain jacket was useful, but it's just understanding that use is pretty limited. And you're gonna get it wrong, right? Your first run coat, you're gonna get it wrong, and then you'll go out and find something better later, and then that's okay too. So as long as it's a freeze in Russian. I don't know how it would translate into English. Spervim blinkonem. Like the first pancake always breaks in the pan. Like you can't ever expect the first one to be okay. So, or if you, and it's a situation where I would say spervim blinkonem when it comes to a rain jacket. Just accept that the first one you buy is going to end up being a waste of money. But the good news is you're going to figure out exactly what you need in a raincoat through the experience of realizing why the one you purchased that you thought was perfect isn't exactly perfect, or that you never use it. So that might be the first. It's hard to think these things through without experience, so that's the value of experience. Oh, I need a rain jacket that's irons it all out, and that I have it as an option. I'm not going to, but just to have it so that I can run in the rain is one step better than having nothing and just, trying to go to the gym or not getting it done on a rainy day. So, you can spend as much or as little as you like, but the question really becomes hard, how do I get my money's worth out of it? And that's tougher. It depends on what you really need going into it. So, yay! Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'd say just like get one that you don't totally hate. But don't worry about buying like the best one on the market or spin yourself out. This is the other reason to love mom and pop shops, right? It's called curating. So if you know the owners and you kind of like most of the stuff in the store, they've gone through with vendors and had meetings and talked about their demographic and what they think they can sell. They're not going to carry very much in the store that they don't like, as opposed to a Fleet Feet or a Luke's Locker, which Luke's Locker is still mom and pop, don't get me wrong. It does not have like, they have 3 or 4 locations in Texas. They do not have distribution all across the country yet. They don't have stores everywhere, like a Fleet Feet does. But so the way a Fleet Feet is going to buy things, they have to buy for all markets in one go, versus a Luke's Locker, which is still quite localized. Luke's Locker is going to be able to say, hey, you know what? I just don't like this product and I'm not going to carry it. I just don't like this look and I'm not going to carry it. I'm a local run store. I'm going to have 2 run jackets for men and 2 run jackets for women, and I'm going to pick the 2 that I like the best, that I think I can sell when asked, why don't you have this? Because I like this better. It's usually a whole conversation with the store manager, those guys tend to be part of the buying process for mom and pop stores. And it's really interesting too. So I used to love shopping at Luke's Locker for that reason when I lived in Texas, because everyone was so super knowledgeable about all of the products. Like, oh, you don't want that, you're going to hate that. No, I mean, you can sure go buy it, but let me tell you why this is better, and I want this ringing in your head when you realize that you wasted your money on Amazon. And I like it when people talk to me that way. I really do. I appreciate it, because that's going to piss me off a little bit and get my attention. Like, oh, you're right, maybe they're totally wrong. And it was 50-50, right? Because at the time I just had a baby, and they were talking to me as though I was like, you know, as in the same shape and condition that they were. And I'm like, guys, no, I just had a baby. I am broken. Yes, I appreciate what you're trying to say, but I really need that big ass shoe with all the stability and a orthotic to go in it for a little while. But thank you. It was very nice. So just know that like when you go to somewhere like REI, it's not quite the same level. They have more stuff. But they also have super knowledgeable salespeople that you can really have this conversation with, and they can point out, like, especially if it's something like REI treats its people pretty well, right? Whenever I go there, I see the same faces and have for 5 years. So that matters, because when you talk to the person that handles the returns, talk to me about rain jackets. Oh man, well this one has been coming back a lot. And people usually have to give a reason for the return. Whoever's processing it will know those reasons. So there's a conversation to be had with people in the store, with stores that might cost a little bit more, but they treat their people well. There's a wealth of institutional knowledge there. Go and have a conversation, ask questions, try things on. Really get, that is literally their job. And in a place that treats them well, when you're talking to a really passionate runner, or a passionate athlete of any sort, they can talk on a level and point out things that you might not have thought of and things that I might not even have thought of ahead of time. So when it comes to stuff like the rain jackets or really specific types of socks, think it out. I don't like cushioned shoes. I don't like any sort of cushioning in my shoes because they wear out. They wear out really quickly. My goal has always been to get back as strong as possible, to get into the most neutral shoe possible, to save my sanity at what little bit of it is remaining. And so whenever I'm in like a bigger, heavier shoe, that's kind of like how I think about it, my approach. But I like shoes like my Ons. I like my On with as little upper as possible. So that means I train in a racing shoe a lot of the time. And people think I'm nuts, and that's fair. This wasn't designed for that. I'm like, but I can't flex my foot with that big gross upper you have in the On Cloud Flyer or whatever. So my perspective, a lot of it has to do with my individual tastes, and so I know this has gone on for a really long time, but I've tried to separate my personal preferences from the frameworks that I used to think about purchases as much as possible, so that you can make the most informed decision. It would be really easy to say like, hey, go buy this thing, but at the end of the day, none of these, and I guess I have to tell you what this is now before somebody asks. This is similar to the Roll Recovery, only this is literally how I use it. I will stick it, and this is pretty much all I use it for. I will put it on my soleus. My kids have been playing with it. And I'll just hang out. So this is strong enough I can get tension in the right spot. and just kind of hook the rest of the strap around and then sit and do work. And there are times I would have the roll recovery clamp to one leg and the Bowflex, the what is this called? I forgot. I don't remember. They said I got this on Amazon. Anyway, I would have that pinned to one soleus and the roll recovery on the other leg. So if there are no more questions, I'm probably gonna go do some Black Friday shopping myself because there are a few things that I need, like a new headset I think I mentioned for my computer, and a better camera for these conversations with you guys for my new studio downstairs. So that's what I'm going to go shop for now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to toss them in the chat, put them in the Facebook groups, but otherwise, and we're going to head down. I take that back. Sorry, I lied. We're going to go downstairs and do one round of strength, and then I will let you run, and me run too. Take care of Black Friday. Just 1 second while I get my interval timer up and running. We're going to do Dust Series 1. Set up. Remember, this is not a big move at all. It's a tiny pulse. You want to control it as much as possible. Don't use momentum to push out. All motion's really coming from the booty. My thoracic spine has not been doing well this week, so we'll see how long I can even keep my arms up. Whew, booty. I will say, my booty does feel way stronger than it did at the beginning of November. How about you guys? I know Julie's does. I try to count to 10 before I let myself stand up. Oh, Lord. Woo. That should not hurt so much, but it does. Yay! Hopefully, I will see you guys a little later for another round of strength. Yay! Good! I'm so glad you're getting stronger too. It's all hard. It's all a process. Now let's go shopping. You're coaching, you're loved. See you hopefully one more time today before strength. Otherwise, if all the kids and all the family get in the way, I will still see you at 7 o'clock for foam rolling. Bye.